Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. You're tuned in to Wild Podcast. By all means, go to wildpodcast.me. That's WOWPODCAST.me. Now, today we have a special guest. We have Kathrin Hutson. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Darshawn. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. So let's talk about your newest release, Sleepwater Static, Book 2 in the Blue Helix series.
Yes. This is my seventh novel that just came out on May 26th. It was really super exciting because it became an international bestseller within the first 24 hours, which is faster than the first book in the series. So that was fun and exciting. This is an LGBTQ dystopian sci-fi with some pretty eerie parallels to what's going on in the world right now, which was not my intention when I finished writing the book, but it came out at, I guess, sort of the perfect time, which is good. And this is set in the very near future in 2031, and it revolves around a group of people that have a special kind of supernatural ability to elicit physical responses in people who hear them tell certain stories. So I'm super excited to have this new book out, and it's been really well received so far. It's a little bit of a jump from the first book in the series, but I will continue with it, and I'm excited to keep moving forward.
Why did you decide to have a different main character?
When I wrote the first book, Sleepwater Beat, that was a standalone in and of itself, until I realized that I wasn't finished with the story and I wasn't finished with the characters, and I had a lot more to say. And in some ways, this supernatural ability that these people have in the Blue Helix series has become something of a character on its own, and the story belongs to everyone across the world, this marginalized community of people who are feared and hunted and discriminated against because of this, extra sort of mutation that they have that they can't control. And I had also realized after I wrote Sleepwater Beat, when, I touched on other marginalized communities, like the LGBTQ community, and I touched a lot on homelessness and drug addiction and broken families and broken homes, and realized that I had not written anything at all about race. And so when I decided that that I was going to continue the series and write Sleepwater Static, which is book 2, it became really, really important for me to highlight these disparities and social injustices in the same way as I had with the first book. And the best way for me that I felt to do that was to write from the perspective of a white woman living in the South. That's about as close as I can get to understanding, these issues from a respectful perspective. I didn't want to cross any lines and go to places that I can't personally understand. And Bernadette also just really, really fascinated me when she was introduced in as a supporting character in Sleepwater Beat. And it was also a little bit of a challenge. I wanted to see how well I could write from the perspective of a 71-year-old woman, white woman from the South, who had been in a biracial relationship with a black man and had a child with him. And it turns out I have a lot more in common with a 71-year-old woman than I ever expected.
So, did anything surprise you as you were writing Sleepwater Static?
Yes, a couple of things, which was really fun. One of them was writing, more supporting characters when I'm coming from a new main character and her story and her background. I wrote Donna's character, who is one of Bernadette Manney, who is the main character. It's one of her best friend's partners. I was writing Donna, and she was just supposed to be a side character who wasn't going to come up much more than just being mentioned in these letters that Bernadette and Janet write to each other. And then I realized that I needed to put Bernadette and her partner Daryl in the same room with Janet and her partner Donna. And then I ended up writing Donna as a character who is charismatic and terrifying at the same time, and it was actually really, really fun and quite a surprise to find myself stepping into her shoes a little bit. And I also wanted to open up some views into different demographics that I think may not have been looked at a lot. So most of the scenes where Donna is present as a character are in the early to mid 1980s. And Donna is a biracial woman who is very well educated and affluent and lives in a really nice neighborhood in Vincent, Alabama in the 1980s. And so she's the catalyst for this sort of rebellion that is happening, that we get snippets of in the 1980s. And she's also a lesbian, and she is fighting a lot of different viewpoints that are aimed against her. And so that it turns into, all the fuel for the pieces of why she is such a charismatic and terrifying character all at the same time. And I never expected to dive that deeply into her, and I never expected to enjoy it so much. But it was definitely a big surprise when she was born, I guess, and just loads of fun, which I appreciated so much.
Gotcha. So let's switch gears just a little bit. What made you get into writing? What was that wow moment that you said to yourself, hey, I think I can do this?
I was 10. That's when I started writing, 100%. And I woke up from a dream I had. It was a reoccurring nightmare where I wanted to change the ending to my favorite movie. And I was getting so frustrated. This has been going on for about a week. And then I woke up on my 10th birthday after this reoccurring nightmare, not being able to change my favorite movie, and realized that maybe I could get this dream to stop if I just rewrote the ending. I could write anything I wanted to make it be anything I wanted it to be. And I didn't actually rewrite the ending, but I started writing, a 10-year-old little girl's really dark and kind of messed up version of a fairy story. Mm-hmm. And from then on, it just took off, and I've always known this is what I wanted to do. I went to CU Boulder for a bachelor's in creative writing fiction, and met some bumps along the way and some twists in the road, but I ended up where I am now, which is writing fiction full time, and it is I'm so fortunate to be able to say that I'm living the dream as an author and a writer, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's a great material, definitely a page turner. So what do you hope readers will get out of the Blue Helix series?
My biggest hope is that people find it an enjoyable story. Of course, we want readers to love what they're reading and to get hooked and to fall in love with the characters, even the ones that may be a little bit hard to fall in love with at the beginning. And then just, very closely after that, what I do really, really hope and the sort of motivation behind writing the series is to bring a lot of topics and discussions about society and institutions in modern society and in our world today, to bring them to the forefront readers' minds, and to make these conversations and topics more accessible to a wider range of people, hopefully some of whom may not have otherwise been open to looking at different perspectives in a new way, or to having these conversations. And I do firmly believe 100% that, good storytelling is a way to get new information, new ideas, eye-opening epiphanies, understanding sometimes, to get those across to people without it feeling too didactic or incredibly pushy. And so, I always love hearing when my readers get back to me and tell me that they had never thought of something this way before, but my books had changed their mind or had opened their eyes to what was possible, or what is, or what they never had an opportunity to see, or, perhaps maybe even never wanted to see before. And storytelling is my avenue for getting that across.
Where can they purchase your books, or how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, my books are available across the board, pretty much anywhere you can think of. It's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Kobo, and many other platforms. If you look me up, you can find me. And then my author website is KathrinHutsonFiction.com. I am on Facebook and Instagram at Kathrin Hutson Fiction, and Twitter at Exquisitely Dark. And I love emails too. It's author at KathrinHutsonFiction.com. And I always reply to emails from readers. It's one of my favorite things.
Well, you're listening to Wild Podcast. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. We're talking to author Kathrin Hutson about her latest book, Sleepwater Static, book number 2 in the Blue Helix series. Kathrin, it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Darshawn. I appreciate it.
No problem.